Around 3 weeks ago, I was on vacation. I was enjoying the sunlight. I was enjoying the beach. I was enjoying the food. Everything was great for the first 3 to 4 days. I didn't once think about my job, going into an office, or anything like that. I was completely detached, disconnected, and enjoying life. But as the vacation, as the week was coming to a close, it started to dawn on me that in 2 to 3 days, I will be back in the office that I dreaded so much, doing the tasks that I dreaded so much, doing the job that I dreaded so much. And I wanted time to just pause and slow down or stop or anything right there because I dreaded the idea, I dreaded the prospects of facing Monday back in the office where I did not even enjoy my life. I didn't enjoy my day. And I started to not even look forward to that day. And the thing about that is, and why it's quite sad in my opinion, is because every single day that we have on this earth is a blessing because our time here is very limited. So you should look forward to the next day all the time. When you go to sleep at night, should be excited, or when you wake up in the morning, I should say, should be excited that you got another day of life. And I think that right there is the greatest test to see if you really enjoy what you're doing with your life, as in your job or what it is that you do the most, that you spend the most time on, that you do on a daily basis. And for me, that showed me that I absolutely hated my job. And I like to call this the test of do something every single day where you don't dread Mondays, or work a job where you don't dread Mondays. And for me, I was dreading Mondays a lot. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit more about my tech sales job, my experience in tech sales, and just totally everything about it, everything that I've learned and experienced, the good, the bad, the in between, all of it. To set some context, I was working in tech sales for 2 years after graduating college at two different companies. So I got the taste of a little bit of an older company that's way more well established, one of the top three biggest tech companies in the world, and also at a newer company that was a startup when I started with them and then went public shortly after I started. Now, the reason why I think this is a very timely video is I think the tech sales industry right now, sales in general, but specifically tech sales, is an industry that's being very, very hyped up all across social media. People talk about all these crazy amounts of money that they make and how they're able to work remotely and work on their own schedule and be in this country and that and still make ridiculous amounts of money, pretty much almost like online, kind of like being their own boss, and amounts of money that are way more than you would see at a typical job. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you this is the case for the top 2% of people. The top 2% of people can make insane amounts of money in tech sales. If you're someone who well, actually, to preface, I'll tell you this: if you're someone who enjoys sales, if you enjoy kind of chasing people down, getting, opportunities, creating pipeline, all that sort of thing, if you enjoy it, that's something that you love doing, you enjoy the stress of it, you enjoy the challenges of it, then I think you can make very, very good amounts of money. But if you're someone who just is below that by a little bit, where you don't love selling things to people, you don't love calling random people, you don't love emailing random people, then I will tell you that I do not think tech sales is going to be the thing for you. So let me talk a little bit about my experience and why I totally dreaded it. So graduating out of college, you typically graduate with a lot of hopes, a lot of ambitions. You just got a college degree. You're going to go out there and change the world and make a ton of money and get an amazing job. I didn't take, getting a job very seriously while I was in college. I didn't try to get any internships, didn't apply for many jobs. So the only thing I found myself able to do, or the only opportunity, was tech sales. So I get into it. And the first day of training, everything was good. The first week, whatever, I thought maybe this could be something interesting. But then as time started to go on, the first 2, 3, 4 weeks started to go on, this certain dread inside of me started to grow. And I realized that what this job boils down to is hunting random people down, finding their cell phones like a creep sometimes, looking up US phone book, looking up through all these different softwares, everything that you can do to find these people's phone numbers. And then your daily tasks are made up of this: trying to contact them as many times as you can, or as many that are actually going to get you a connect with them, sending them as many emails as it makes sense, obviously, to get in contact with them, and hunting them on every single social media platform that you can possibly find them to get a meeting with them. Just to set some more context, the role I did was a BDR, business development representative. So it's like the entry level sales role. The worst job I can personally imagine, right? Because In my opinion, I don't think this job should require a college degree. I think they should allow people who are out of high school to do this, because it all boils down to, hey, are you good at hunting people down? Do you have good sales skills, which isn't something that you learn in college. It's either something that you have, naturally, organically, you're born with it, or it's a skill that you're eager and you're interested in developing, and you go and develop it through practice. You don't learn how to become a better salesman by not practicing or by just reading books or learning about it in college. So the daily tasks of the job felt so incredibly mundane to me, and so almost robotic, and it felt like I was brain dead as I did them, because it didn't involve anything new. People in tech sales will always tell you, wow, I love my job because it involves something new every single day. There's nothing new. You're just trying to sell products to as many people as possible, products that aren't yours, and it's just in a direct way, right? In comparison to, doing something like e-commerce or selling through your content, you reach way more people. This is just trying to reach one-on-one, just trying to get in contact with people who could potentially have a role to play in the selling process, who can potentially maybe end up getting you the sales. And when I did this first at a very, very big company, we'd work accounts, like, I'm not gonna say names, but huge, fast food chains, right? You can probably guess what it is, that has thousands and thousands of employees all over the US. So the idea here is, imagine this, trying to find a needle in a haystack. You need to figure out how to get in contact with as many decision makers as possible in this huge company. I'll just say in McDonald's, right, which employs so many people in tech. You need to figure out how to get in contact with people there who could potentially make a decision and buy your tech software. So it's like a maze. So every single day I would just have to find random people on LinkedIn. Most of the time, because of the intricacies involved in tech or IT, they're doing stuff that has nothing to do with what you're selling them, but you have no idea. So you're emailing people every day. You sit there and you send kind of the templates, the templated emails. Maybe sometimes you try to think of something creative, but pretty much that's all it is. You're just calling people, you're emailing people, and you're messaging them on LinkedIn every single day. There's no sort of creativity involved in it. It's just, can you get people to meet with you, yes or no? And one of the parts about it that I despise the most is when I feel like the product would actually be a good fit, and you finally get a contact at that company to pick up, and they're like, who the hell are you? Why would you ever call my cell phone? Don't ever call me again. I never want to work with you. Remove my cell phone. Boom, hang up on you. Or worse yet, when you'd call someone and you talk to them, they'd let you talk for like a minute, and you'd be like, so hello? And then they just literally hang up on you after letting you talk for that long. And for me, in all honesty, it felt like a very, very degrading job. I felt like, look, I have so much creativity, and you probably feel the same way too. If you're someone who thinks, you're creative, or you can build things and you can start things from scratch, stuff like that, or you just think you have a lot of potential. If you're reduced to someone who just sits in an office, calls up as many people as possible, tries to email as many people as possible, and send them LinkedIn messages, you are going to start to feel so bored, and it's almost like your passion, your energy, and your brain is slowly dying. Sales is looked at this thing where you're like a businessman traveling from here to there, convincing people, meeting with different people. But I can tell you, the entry-level role is just literally try to get in contact with anyone that you can possibly contact to somehow make a decision to maybe refer you to this person. And gets incredibly boring. And that's how I felt. I was like, this is the worst thing I could have ever imagined. I didn't enjoy one single day of working in sales, not one. I tried time and time again to look at it in different angles, like just, hey, let me be grateful that I at least have a job and maybe I can learn something here, and just nothing. I never enjoyed it. There's two other misconceptions I want to talk about. The second is that sales, or you need to learn this kind of sales in order to be good in business. They'll tell you the best thing, many people online, there's like a whole trend now where they're like, the best job I can tell you to work is a sales job, because they're going to tell you or teach you the most important skills you need to do good in business. I can tell you this, I built up my e-commerce business over the last year to the point where I don't have to work a 9 to 5 anymore. I can just focus on it. Not once Not one single time that I implement the skills that I learned in sales into my e-commerce business. Not once. I didn't learn a single thing in sales that I wouldn't have known otherwise that helped me in business. They'll tell you learn how to deal with rejection. If you want to learn how to deal with rejection, you don't need to go work a shitty job to teach you that. Just go out and approach like 5 different girls, or if you're a girl, go approach 5 different guys in the street and ask them for their phone number to go on a date with you, and you'll experience rejection and you'll learn how to deal with it. You don't need to go work a job where you're constantly getting degraded on the phone. The pressure from, the VP of sales comes down to the director to your manager. You're at the bottom of the totem pole, so you experience this tremendous pressure to increase sales for the company. It's like the most 9 to 5 kind of just, they're gonna grind out as much as possible out of you to grow the company for the shareholders, as I can imagine, right? And all honesty, I don't think there's anything that you need to learn in this kind of sales job or a door-to-door sales job that is going to help you start any sort of content or online business or e-commerce or anything like that. And I think about it, even if you create a service type business or a software where there needs to be a sales aspect to it, you can just hire someone who's good at sales, who's better than you at sales, and they'll run that side of the business for you. So I don't see a single way it's necessary. The other thing I want to touch on is compensation, because people think you can make a ton of money in sales. As I mentioned previously, this is if you're in the top 1%. Now, what does this require? You can 100% make a lot of money, way more than a normal job, especially out of college. Now, but this requires you to work more than the normal person, more than the average sales rep, right? Or more than the normal job, because in the normal job, you clock in, you clock out, you work your 40 hours a week, and you have a set certain paycheck that you are going to earn. In sales, you need to go the extra mile, be the first one in the office, the last one out, maybe do a little bit of work on the weekends, do a little bit of work after hours, just so that you can make that extra more money to where now you're earning, 70, 75, 80,000 out of college. If you want to earn more than that, like in the first year or two, you pretty much need to work 78 hours a week. You'll make a lot of money. But when you look at it and you equate it to the time that you put in versus the amount that you get out, you'll find that it's not really worth it, especially if you don't want to advance in a sales role. If you want to, then you start earning more commission, you earn, certain percentages of deals, you earn a lot more. But in the entry-level role, if you go out and you get a very solid, basic 40 hours a week job that pays you 70K a week, that you should take that any day versus getting a sales job where the base salary is, let's say 50K, because the base salaries are always incredibly low, where the base salary is, let's say 50K, and you can potentially earn 25,000 in unlimited bonus. The odds that you're going to really surpass that extra 25,000 are very, very, very low. 70% of people are going to clock in below the extra 25K in bonus. Maybe 10 are gonna hit it, an extra 10, and then maybe like 15 to 20 are gonna surpass that. And even within that 15 to 20, very little percentage, you're gonna surpass it by a lot, right? So I can tell you that the compensation wasn't anything impressive. It's not like these figures that you see online, perhaps from people who are account executives who have worked in sales for 5-6 years. They earn a lot of money, but the entry-level role, it's a ton of stress that's not worth it. Then this is the other point I want to talk about, and that is the stress level. I can tell you once again that starting my own e-commerce business while being a master's student, a graduate student in college, and while working a 9 to 5 was less stressful than working a sales job. I'll tell you that right now. That was in 2 years, in 2 different companies, and with 2 different kind of cultures, it was much more stressful than growing my own business to the point where it's at today. Oh, and doing YouTube at the same time as all of this. Just the job was way more stressful than all of those other things. Why? Because again, as I mentioned or touched on previously, pressure in sales comes down from the top. And as it goes lower, the pressure increases, right? As you go down into the Earth's core, there's more pressure. So when you're a sales rep, you're all the way in the middle of the core, and the pressure comes up from the top. from the crust, right? From the gravity down on the ground, which is the CEO level. And then on top of him are the investors or the shareholders, CEO to the VP, VP to the director, director to your manager, and manager to you, all the way down at the totem, at the bottom of the totem pole, because you're the kind of the first touch when it comes to getting prospects through the door, right? Or the first level of the pipeline comes down to you. So if you're not, going beyond expectations, you are not going to help the company grow, and they get rid of you just like that. The other thing I wanted to mention about this is that the stress in when you have your own business, at least if you push yourself, right, a lot, at least you take 100% of the benefit. All that revenue is yours, right? It's your own business, so it's worth stressing yourself out about it. But when it comes to you're working a sales job, you're increasing revenue for the shareholders. And at a young age, 23, 24, 25, 26 even, you're stressing yourself out to increase revenue for other people instead of putting that energy into your own business. It's an absolute waste. So once you reach, your mid 30s, your late 40s, you're completely burnt out by putting all your energy and all your vitality when you were at your strongest mentally, physically, everything, growing someone else's business. And to me, that's about the stupidest deal I can think of. That deal isn't worth any amount of money. So think about all these factors when you think about pursuing a tech sales career, a tech sales job, right? Think about all of these things. Oh, and also one more point is that the whole remote tech sales thing is slowly kind of drying up. Most tech sales jobs now, at least the ones that have a decent base commission, and by decent I mean like 50,000, are not remote anymore. At least not fully remote. They're either 2 times a week, and they're now moving to 3 days into the office, some even 4, some even 5. So all these benefits or all these things that in this industry seemed super great, maybe 3 to 4 years ago during COVID times, maybe it was amazing. But now it's an industry that's getting a lot more kind of clogged up. Shareholders are looking for more revenue now from software companies. They're like, you can just do whatever the hell you want. They want more profits. They want share prices to increase. And in all honesty, it is a career that I would not recommend for anyone. It's a career where you're not building anything for yourself. It's a career where after, no matter how well you performed in the years prior, if you have 1 or 2 bad months, the pressure is on you tremendously and you're automatically out the door. They will not think about you again. I look at it, especially the entry-level sales role BDR that I did, is companies using young people fresh out of college to offer them a very low salary to get tremendous benefit out of them, burning you out as much as possible and then kicking you through the door and bringing in kind of the next generation. And you'll notice that the turnover rates in the BDR role, especially in tech, are very, very high. People just drop like flies, just leave because they realize the compensation is not worth it in terms of the stress that you have to put in and the time that you have to put in to actually earn a very high commission or a very high salary that's out of the ordinary. I find myself being incredibly stressed, working more than usual sometimes, just to barely earn what many 65, 70k a year, 60k a year, that many people are just earning regularly, working 40 hours a week with no stress, with more creative projects and things of that sort. So there it is, guys. So my camera decided to rudely interrupt as I was filming that absolutely epic outro for the video. But pretty much what I wanted to say, if you want to carve out your own future, if you want to carve out the future that you are going to be very, very proud of for yourself, and it has to do with e-commerce, you'll find my one-on-one coaching link down below. If you want to do TikTok shop specifically, that is pretty much my specialty. You will also find my one-on-one consultation link for a one-on-one to answer your questions on e-commerce, on the sales career if you have questions about that, or again, if you want to learn more about TikTok shop. So thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. I'm out.